Dawn broke cold and wet, the sky a somber grey. Mist clung to the fields of Agincourt, wrapping the landscape in a ghostly shroud. The English army lay hidden in an eerie silence, the mist their only cover. Men shivered in their thin armour, the cold seeping into their bones. Their breath misted in the frigid air, each exhale a visible testament to the chill. It was October in France, 1415, a time when the land should be preparing for winter, not war. The ground was muddy and treacherous, not a day for battle. Yet battle was upon them, an unavoidable clash of wills and steel. Throughout the English camp, a murmur of prayers arose, a desperate plea to the heavens. Rough men, hardened by war, now sought solace in faith. Archers checked their arrows, their hands trembling slightly. Their eyes betrayed a fear they would not speak, a silent acknowledgement of the odds they faced. Knights tightened their sword belts, the sound of steel clinking against steel echoing in the still air. The air crackled with anticipation, a palpable tension that set every nerve on edge. For weeks, the English army had marched through France, ravaged by dysentery, hounded by the French. Now they were trapped. Outnumbered, outmaneuvered, they stood on the brink of annihilation, their fate hanging by a thread. The men knew that this day could be their last, and yet they stood ready, united by a common cause and a shared hope for survival. The 100 Years' War had cast a long shadow over England. This prolonged conflict, spanning from 1337 to 1453, was a series of battles and skirmishes that left an indelible mark on both nations involved. Generations had fought and died on French soil, fueled by a lust for land and glory. The war was not just a series of battles, but a prolonged struggle that saw entire families torn apart, villages razed, and countless lives lost. King Henry V, young and ambitious, had renewed the conflict, his claim to the French throne a spark in the tinderbox of nations. His vision was clear: to unite the crowns of England and France under his rule, a dream that many thought impossible. His invasion had begun with a daring victory at Harfleur, a port town that was crucial for his campaign. The siege was brutal, but the English forces emerged victorious, bolstering their morale. But victory had come at a cost. The prolonged siege had exhausted his troops, and the harsh conditions had taken their toll. Many soldiers were left weary and injured, their spirits dampened by the relentless struggle. Disease had ravaged his army, dwindling his ranks. Dysentery and other illnesses spread like wildfire through the encampment, claiming more lives than the battlefield itself. The once formidable force was now a shadow of its former self. The French, sensing weakness, had finally gathered their forces, eager to crush the English invaders. They saw an opportunity to end the conflict once and for all, to reclaim their land and honor. Now the English army found themselves trapped in a narrow valley near the village of Agincourt. The terrain was treacherous and the odds were stacked against them. The narrow pass left little room for maneuvering, making it a perfect trap. The French, a vast force of knights and men-at-arms, blocked their path. Escape seemed impossible. The English were outnumbered and outmatched, facing a well-prepared and determined enemy. Only a miracle or a desperate gamble could save them. As the sun set over the battlefield, the English soldiers prepared for what could be their final stand, their fate hanging in the balance. At the heart of the English camp stood King Henry V, a figure of both admiration and authority. His presence was a beacon of hope for his men who looked to him for guidance and strength in these trying times. Tall and powerfully built, with piercing blue eyes, he was the embodiment of English courage. His very appearance commanded respect and inspired confidence among his troops, who saw in him the ideal of what a king should be. Yet beneath the regal bearing, a deep anxiety gnawed at him. The weight of leadership was heavy, and the responsibility for the lives of his men was a constant burden. He knew that every decision he made could mean the difference between victory and defeat, life and death. He had led his men into a trap, and the weight of their lives rested heavy on his shoulders. The battlefield was a treacherous place, and the enemy was cunning and relentless. Every moment was fraught with danger, and the young king felt the pressure of his role more acutely than ever. Moving among his men, he offered words of encouragement, his voice strong and resolute. He knew that his men needed to see his confidence, to hear his unwavering belief in their cause. His words were a lifeline, a source of strength for the weary soldiers. He spoke of England, of glory, of God's favor. He reminded them of the honor they were fighting for, the legacy they were building. His speeches were filled with passion and conviction, and they resonated deeply with his men. And the men, inspired by their king's unwavering spirit, drew strength from his words. They rallied around him, their resolve hardened by his determination. In their eyes, he was not just a king, but a leader worth following into the fiercest of battles. Among his most trusted commanders was Edward of Norwich, the Duke of York. A man of great experience and wisdom, the Duke was a pillar of strength for the young king. A veteran of countless battles, he was a calming presence amidst the storm of war. His experience was invaluable, and his steady hand helped to guide the king through the chaos of battle. His experience and counsel were invaluable to the young king. Together, they faced the challenges of war, their bond forged in the fires of conflict. The young king knew that with such loyal and capable men by his side, they could overcome any obstacle. The battlefield lay before them, a treacherous expanse of mud and churned earth. Rain had transformed the ground into a quagmire, a death trap for man and horse. It was a battlefield that favored neither army. Henry, displaying a keen tactical mind, arrayed his men with care. He knew the French, arrogant in their superior numbers, would rely on the brute force of their cavalry. He would turn their strength against them. He placed his archers, armed with the deadly longbow, on the flanks, their stakes driven into the soft earth. Behind them he arranged his dismounted knights and men-at-arms, their lines bristling with spears and pikes. The stage was set for a clash of arms that would echo through history. The French, a sea of banners and shining armor, advanced across the muddy field. Confident of victory, they charged, their war cries echoing across the battlefield. But Henry had anticipated their move. A storm of arrows darkened the sky. The English longbows, weapons of unmatched range and power, unleashed their deadly rain. French knights, their armor no protection against the storm of steel, crumpled to the ground, their cries drowned out by the twang of bowstrings. Wave after wave of French cavalry foundered against the wall of English archers. Horses screamed, their riders falling into the mud, trampled beneath the hooves of their comrades. The air grew thick with the stench of blood and fear. Section 6. The Charge of the Knights. Yet the French, their courage fueled by desperation, pressed their attack. Finally, they broke through the rain of arrows, crashing into the English lines. The clash was deafening. Steel met steel, cries of pain mingled with shouts of defiance. The English knights, their king fighting alongside them, met the French onslaught with unwavering ferocity. Henry, his sword flashing, fought like a man possessed, his courage an inspiration to his men. The Duke of York, his armor battered, his face a mask of grim determination, led his men with unwavering resolve. They fought for their king, for their country, for their very lives.
Breaking news.
Section 7. Victory's Embrace. As the battle raged, a strange silence fell over the French lines. Their attack, so full of fury moments before, had lost its momentum. The English, sensing victory, pressed their advantage. Slowly, inexorably, the tide of battle turned. The French, demoralized and leaderless, began to fall back. Their retreat quickly turned into a rout, a panicked flight across the blood-soaked field. The English, exhausted but exhilarated, watched as their enemy dissolved into the distance. Victory was theirs, a victory so complete, so unexpected, that it bordered on the miraculous. Section 8. Aftermath. The aftermath of the battle was a scene of utter devastation. Thousands of Frenchmen lay dead, their bodies scattered across the battlefield like grim trophies of war. The English, their losses surprisingly light, struggled to comprehend the magnitude of their victory. Henry, his armor stained with mud and blood, offered prayers of thanks for his miraculous victory. He had triumphed against overwhelming odds, cementing his reputation as a brilliant military commander. The Battle of Agincourt was a turning point in the 100 Years' War, a crushing blow to French morale and a resounding testament to the courage and skill of the English army. Section 9. Agincourt's Long Shadow. The legacy of Agincourt would resonate through the ages. It would become a defining moment in English history, a source of national pride and inspiration. The battle would be immortalized in song and story, a testament to the enduring power of human courage in the face of insurmountable odds. But Agincourt was more than just a glorious victory. It was a stark reminder of the brutal realities of war, of the terrible price paid for ambition and glory. Today, the fields of Agincourt are silent. The echoes of battle long faded. Yet the memory of that fateful day continues to resonate, a haunting reminder of the enduring power of the past.